So I have to thank Hashem. Of course, this is Baruch here with the Tikkun Elevator call out. There was a certain time when I was looking for chavrusas, and I went to a chavrusa match, which I think still exists. And I wrote what I was interested in, which is basically study Kabbalah. And I wound up, YAAKOV Kronenberg was interested in learning with me. And I say that he's a person that you can see him on YouTube. He's just put his name in there, YAAKOV Kronenberg, and he's very compatible with me. He's a guy that just was very, very easy for me to get along with. Some people that I learn with, I don't get along with so well. Just personality clash as well with him. It was just, he's a delightful man. But you see what he's devoted his life to. He went into tremendous depth in all the things that we've read in this book. Here he talks about, he quotes the Goen Villa up of Vilna. He quotes many different people, and particularly in the essay that we're going into right now, he quotes the Ibn Ezra. This part is called, it's called the 10 Commandments and the 10 Planets. And he explains that there are 7 planets, the orbiting planets, not counting the Earth. And there is also 3, he mentioned there are 3 firmaments above that, gives you the number 10. Let's start over here, just read, enough for my talking, and let's see what Rabbi Yaakov, he's not a rabbi, but he said what you would call a chacham, a real scholar. So it says like this, a person who is a criminal, he was saying like this, if you say that homosexuality is okay for men to have sex with men, then could you say it's because they can't change their nature, that's the way they were born? Could you say the same thing about a person who has sex with children? Could you say that it's the same thing, it's that's also genetic? They can say that they were born like that they can't restrain themselves like in kids that are 3 years old and stuff like that, just that's their nature. It's genetic. What do you want to do with me? How can you lock me up? I was born that way. There's nothing wrong with me. That's just the way I was programmed, and you can say that about anyone. A person who is a criminal or a thief can also claim that it's genetic. That's what the Ibn Ezra is trying to say here. Now, so we're going to start going into the Ibn Ezra. People are born with good inclinations and bad inclinations, and everybody has to work on different character defects and problems that they're born with. Just like everyone's face is different, so is everyone's character different. So we have to respect that principle and understand it, and nobody is perfect, and everybody is here, and this is our point. Let me see if I can get this better here. To try to fix themselves. That's what the Ibn Ezra is saying. You can have a choice. It's not predestined. And you can change your natural inclinations, and you will see that this is not that this is in his essay on the 10 Commandments. They are telling you what to do and what not to do. Now, let's go on. If, he says, let me get this focus and get this so that we can read together. If they are telling you not to do something, it means you have an inclination to do it. There is no reason to tell you not to do something if you don't have an inclination to do it and the capacity to overcome it. So you may want that object that you see, but you don't steal it because you know it's not the right thing to do. So that's a major point here. The Bible is teaching you what things you must do and things you must not do. And through that, how to get above your instincts and above your physical desires, which could lead you astray. When you go after the body, you are under the planetary influences. Like he says, when you go after your eyes and your heart and your tendencies to fulfill your desires, that's what it is. You have lusts, you have appetites, and just like we need to eat food and make a living, be able to pay rent and so on and so forth, you could say that your lusts are the same way. You have to fill them too. Today in the Western world, there are a lot of people who go to psychiatrists or doctors or psychologists or life coaches or even astrologers, and basically they're going to them because they can't get their bodily desires fulfilled. They're frustrated. Their lusts are frustrated. They feel something is wrong with them. They can't make enough money. They can't get enough love. They can't succeed in life, and they felt like losers. People consider themselves losers because they can't get their physical desires, and therefore they go to people to help them. And that's what the astrologer's function is today, to help a person fulfill their physical desires. That's a very interesting, you have to think about this. Why do people search for something? Why do they need help? So he says it's not for spiritual reasons. It's because, they want to have more sex, but they can't get the girls. Or they want to have more money, but they can't get their husband to lay out, for the jewelry that they need. And even Ezra is telling you a big point here, which is the whole idea of Judaism, which is that actually the goal is not to go after your physical desires, but rather to restrain them. Otherwise, they will put you under the planetary influences, which is whatever comes, it's nature's way. You will never be able to get beyond the planets, that force of the movement of the soul. Now let's think for a minute once again what he's talking about. He says we're on a ball that is rolling. It's rolling. How do we know that it's rolling? Because it keeps rolling around the sun. But in the meantime, and there's a moon rolling around us. In the meantime, the sun is rolling around the universe, going through the various different constellations. So he says a person who is under the planetary influence is going to have good times and they're going to have bad times. You can't control it. But mostly bad times, because that's the way the world is made. The world is made out of what we call gavuros. Gavuros are things which make and shape and constantly moving things. The world is made out of gavuros. Gavuros are punishments also. That's the way of nature. Nature can be very tough and ruthless. This is the big disconnect today between Judaism and the whole of the Western psychology, which is that I need to get my pleasures now, get it while you can, life's short, get as much fun as you can, be merry and drink because soon we die. So he says, and that is their philosophy. Today we live in a tremendously hedonistic time in history where all the philosophies of the last 500 years, a few hundred years, have been nullified, and the only thing is eat and be merry because tomorrow we die. So pointing out the fatalistic aspect of the world that we live in is that we won't live through it, not in this form. So therefore, he says we get to the concept of, yes, they know that. Get as much money as you can here, because this is all that matters. Eat and be merry because tomorrow we die. So the Jewish approach is really the opposite. It says that this world is really just a testing ground. As they say, it's a vestibule for entrance into the grand house. If you get through this world and pass the test, then you will get the reward in the next world, which is not physical, but the world of the delight of your soul. But there is no real reward in this world. Here the pleasures are like salt water. The more you drink of them, the thirstier you become. So the whole point is what even Ezra says. A man who refrains from following his eyes and his heart and his tendency to satiate his concupiscence, which I think means desire for physical gratification, let's say sexual gratification, then knowledge comes to rest with him. Let's read it again. He says, a man who refrains from following his eyes and heart, looking at women or looking at money or looking at things that like that, then knowledge comes to rest with him, that person who doesn't do that. But only then, once he gets beyond his eyes and his hearts, his lusts and his desires, can he come to have the knowledge rest in him.
Furthermore, the fear of the Lord protects him from the decrees of the heavenly bodies and from their sway for as long as he lives. That's because he is not running after his body anymore. If the most important thing is what's going on with your body, he says, then you're in trouble because you're going to be subject to the whims of the world. Could be the winds of the world. The atmosphere changes constantly. If you are going after your body, you're basically out of control. Like my teacher said in the beginning, the sun represents his relationship to the divine spirit, the moon relating to his own soul, and the ascendant to his physical body. So a person who goes after physical body is separating himself from the higher forces, and he comes under the planetary influences. Now, I was trying to say this to try to give my idea of what I think the world is like. The universe that we know is like a giant set of gears. It's gears. They're all moving in tandem. Everything is naturally moving. As I said, the Earth revolves 20,000 miles a minute, an hour rather, and the moon revolves around the constellation, around the Earth every 24 hours. And every 24 hours, the sun moves through the 12 constellations, 2 hours at a time. This is all going on. The planets are moving. The stars are moving. Everything is in motion, and this is the planetary influences that we live in. And the whole Jewish approach to be able to get beyond the planetary influences, and you do that by following the commandments. So the Ezra is going to talk about the 10 Commandments, which is really the title of this little piece. A little bit more focus here. About the 10 Commandments and the relationship to the 10 firmaments in the sky. So let's start with the 10 Commandments in the Ibn Ezra's commentary. He says, God spoke all these statements saying, I am Hashem your God, who has taken you out of the land of Egypt from the house of slavery. That's the first statement. Let's see if that's the first statement. Then the next statement is like this. And these are the 10 Commandments as we know them. It says, you shall not bow down to other gods. Let me get this right. I'm sorry. You shall not bow down to other gods in my presence. You shall not make yourself a carved image, nor any likeness of that which is in the heavens above or the earth below, or in the water beneath the earth. You shall not prostrate yourself to them, nor worship them, for I am Hashem your God, a jealous God, who visits the sin of fathers upon children to the 3rd and 4th generation from my enemies, but who shows kindness for thousands of generations to those who love me and observe my commandments. Number 3, you shall not take the name of Hashem, your God, in vain, for Hashem will not absolve anyone who will take his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day, that's number 4, and sanctify it. 6 days shall you work and accomplish all your work on the 7th day, but the 7th day is the Sabbath. It's a Sabbath to Hashem, your God, and you shall not do any work. So he's saying that also in the week, which is a 7, and there are lots of different 7s that we see in the Jewish cycle, that it has a concept of 6 of 6, but on the 7th, everything comes together. This is the actual gear system of the world, the spiritual world. And the 7th day is a Sabbath to Hashem, your God. You shall not do any work. You don't do work that he does and Hashem does not create on that day. That's why he's saying something like that. You, your son, your daughter, your slave, your maidservant, your animal, a convert within your gates. For in 6 days Hashem made the heavens and the earth, the sea and all that is in them, and he rested on the 7th day, and therefore he blessed the Sabbath day and sanctified it. Number 5, honor your mother and your father so that your days will be lengthened upon the land that Hashem, your God, gives you. Number 6, you shall not kill. Number 7, you shall not commit adultery. Number 8, you shall not steal. Number 9, you shall not bear false witness against your fellow. Number 10, you should not covet your fellow's house. You should not covet your fellow's wife, his manservant, his maidservant, his oxen, his donkey, or anything that belongs to your fellow. So he says, so these are the 10 commandments. And even Ezra says that the first commandment, I am the Lord your God who took you out of Egypt, is connected to the first firmament, and we don't talk much about the first firmament, as it is incomprehensible to us. We do not have capacity to comprehend this level. In other words, we could see the physical universe, we could see the earth, we could see the sun, the moon, so on and so forth, and the 7 planets. But when you start getting into the firmament, you're talking about something beyond the gear system. It's not part, or it's a part that comes before the gear. So, let's see what he says. This firmament is connected to the sphere of Keter. Keter is really beyond the physical world, which is beyond man's understanding and comprehension. Now he writes, and let's see, we've got a little bit more time. We'll do as much as these as we can, and we'll go through them. He says the second commandment, and I want to once again praise YAAKOV KRONENBERG for the work that he's done here. He spent a lot of time researching this, putting these ideas together. The second commandment, that there should not be for you another God, just me, is connected to the daily Galgal. What's the daily Galgal? Which is the second firmament. So the daily Galgal is a ball. So which is again, the concept of going around and going around, which is the second firmament, which makes a circle in one day. And it goes east to west. And it calls all the other planets and stars, which normally go from west to east, to be pulled along by this higher firmament and to go from east to west. Now this, he says, is a force beyond the physical planets. But when he says beyond, it really means it's inside of them. In other words, it causes them to act. It causes all the other spheres to go in the opposite direction of their normal movement and moves them from east to west every 24 hours. So this is an astronomical fact, except that is how the planets are moving. Now, how do we know that it's east and west? Well, that is a little bit made up too. And he said, connecting that to, you shouldn't have any gods besides me, to teach you that it's the strength of God that is moving all of the firmaments. So if the firmaments are moving the constellations and the planets within them, then it's God that's moving the firmament. So you see, the second firmament is moving firmaments to go along with it. It's also moving other firmaments. So you could see, you shouldn't have any other gods. It's saying, I am the one doing the moving. Nice ideas. He wants to continue to compare the second commandment to the second firmament. Many people thought that this second firmament was actually God himself, the creator himself, because it doesn't have a body, but it's teaching you that but it's a force. So it's teaching you that no one there is only, let me read, but it's teaching you that no there is only one God. Know that there's only one God, and it's not the first force that moves the planets to go into this direction. That's just a physical manifestation. In other words, energy, the energy that causes the movement of the stars, of the constellations in the sky, that energy is not God. That's an energy, is a creation. That's just a physical manifestation. It's not God himself, so that this is the second commandment and firmament. Now, there's a lot to think about in this little thing right here. I guess it's time to stop this year, and we're going to go instead over to, we're going to stop here, and we'll try to make a shir from another day. I don't like to get too long. Maybe I should, but that's a shir for today.